فرعون هذه أمة أستغفر الله.
At the beginning of Munafik 2, we see Adam exploring an old, dilapidated house where he finds his son's toy. As he looks at it, memories of the tragic death of his wife and son in a road accident haunt Adam. Suddenly, a mysterious little girl takes the toy and runs away, prompting Adam to chase her. Following her, he reaches a room where he sees a lantern on the ground. When Adam picks up the lantern, the girl runs away again. As he comes out, he finds the girl on the stairs, pointing him toward the lantern. Realizing something strange, Adam starts reciting prayers after seeing a severed head in his hand. We then see Adam's parents talking about him. His mother Salma expresses fear that history will repeat itself. She mentions the jealousy and vengeance of others toward Adam, which resulted in the loss of their daughter-in-law and grandchild. On the other hand, Sakina is worried about her ailing father Imam Malik. She expresses her concern, stating that she doesn't know what to do to heal him, and that nobody is willing to help them. She then goes to her daughter Aryana and asks her to eat the food. However, Aryana doesn't want to eat the same thing every day. As Sakina tries to feed her, Aryana throws the food and asks her why did she bring her and Grandpa here to the forest. Sakina explains that one day she will know, but for now, they have to live here away from all the villagers. We then see Abuja with his followers approaching a man named Rahman who they have kept captive. They want him to accept Abuja's teachings, but Rahman is against it. They warn him that if he does not comply, he will have to die. However, Rahman says he only fears God. Abuja gets furious and says nobody can prevent people from following him and accuses Rahman of being a non-believer. Abuja's followers then begin pouring gasoline on him, and he is set on fire. Rahman accepts his death rather than betraying his beliefs and becoming a hypocrite or Munafik. The next day, Adam's father Ram visits Ajar and mentions that he is going to see Imam Malik, as he hasn't seen him for quite some time. Ajar suggests that he return home, as Imam Malik is no longer the Imam of the village. Ram is shocked to learn this, and Ajar informs him that their village has changed, and he, too, hasn't seen Imam Malik for a while. Meanwhile, Abuzar and his followers approach Sakina, and he informs her that the current hardships faced by her and her family can vanish instantly. He claims her father's health can be restored, and the demons won't trouble her anymore. In response, Sakina asserts that she will not turn away from Islam, regardless of how many demons he sends, and she refuses to embrace his teachings. Abuzar offers Sakina a chance to repent and become his wife, but she shows no interest in his offer and departs. That night, Adam's nightmare persists, leading him to discover Maria's lifeless body. Confused and disoriented, he senses an ominous presence watching him from above. As he begins ascending the stairs, he's startled by a noise, only to witness his own lifeless body hanging, causing him to fall. To his horror, he then encounters a demonic entity there, that slowly begins turning toward him, and suddenly haunts him. Later, Adam discusses his recurring dream with his friend Asman, pondering why he keeps experiencing the same haunting scenario. Asman advises him to let go, emphasizing that Maria's death was not his fault. Adam acknowledges this but expresses uncertainty about any unresolved matters connected to Maria's death. That night, Sakina hears her dad calling her name, but when she goes to his room, she discovers he's not there, and abruptly, the door slams shut. Sakina gets terrified by this and then some jinns appear there, and just then Aryana opens the door and asks her to be quiet and follow her. Sakina follows Aryana into a room and discovers her hiding above. Confused, Sakina climbs up to find Aryana but is haunted by a jinn, causing her to fall. Meanwhile, we see Aryana peacefully sleeping in her room when her bed suddenly slides, jolting her awake. She then feels some movement under her bed, but when she bends down to check, she finds no one there. Frightened, she returns to her bed, only to realize there's a jinn beside her. Aryana attempts to escape but gets halted by something, and discovers Imam Malik holding her leg. She eventually reaches Sakina, crying and revealing that her grandfather is frightening her. Sakina decides to leave the house with Aryana but is halted by Imam Malik's voice calling for help. She notices that the voice is coming from a well, and when she goes there to check, a demonic entity grabs her face. Sakina visits Ajar and pleads for his assistance, expressing that Abuzar has gone too far. She begs him to intervene and prevent the demons from tormenting her family. Meanwhile, at his house, Adam detects a jinn observing him. Adam tries to ignore it, but Jinn questions why Adam's God didn't make everyone a believer. In response, Adam queries why the jinn has come to his house. The jinn insists on an answer, prompting Adam to assert that his guidance is from his God, granted to those who seek it. The jinn claims that Adam's soul called out for her, and she knows he is lonely. Adam refutes loneliness, asserting that his God is always with him, and the jinn disappears from there. The following day, Azure visits Adam to discuss Sakina's issues, prompting Salma to express concern for his safety. Adam explains to her that it is Adam's job to heal sick people. Besides, Imam Malik is his best friend. Adam suggests that he should go visit Imam Malik, to which Salma responds, stating that he only cares about others and not about his own mother's feelings. Meanwhile, Abuzar and his followers once again locate Sakina, forcibly taking her daughter from her. Sakina pleads with Abuzar not to treat her family this way and implores him to return her child. Abuzar responds that perhaps this is the only way for her to submit to him and open her heart to accept his teachings. Sakina offers to take her instead and kill her and be done once and for all. Omar intervenes, knocking her down, and claims she is the only one who disobeys Abuja's orders. Abuja asserts that her disrespect should not be forgiven and departs with Alyana. Here, Adam attempts to explain to his mother that the gift bestowed upon him by God is a responsibility that will be questioned on Judgment Day, and he asks for her prayers in every step he takes. Just then, Aslan arrives and asks Adam if he is coming, as they need to make a move now before it gets dark. Salma blesses Adam and emphasizes that regardless of what happens, she wants him back home tonight. On the way, Azure informs them that Abuja's followers believe he is a holy man and often receive messages from heaven through dreams. Sakina's father was courageous enough to oppose him, leading to his sickness, and Sakina has been facing the consequences ever since. Abuja employs violence and black magic to punish those who do not follow his teachings. When Adam questions why they don't report this to the authorities, Azure reveals that some who tried were murdered. Now, finally, they reach Sakina's house, but when they call her out, they get no response. Adam senses that there are jinns inside, so he tells them that he will go in first and that both of them should stay outside and keep chanting. Suddenly, an unseen force drags Aslan away, and Adam hears a scream from inside the house, so he rushes in to investigate the matter. He finds Sakina there, who tells him that what's in the room is not her father, and she requests him to save him. Adam starts reciting prayers, and shortly after, they witness the shadow of the possessed Imam Malik, who warns Adam not to disturb him. Despite this, Adam enters the room, only to be surprised when it turns out to be empty. Suddenly, a window opens by itself, and a jinn pulls him back, and the door gets shut as Sakina tries to go in. Adam gets up and starts scanning the surroundings, suddenly sensing Imam Malik's presence behind him. Sakina knocks on the door, and when Adam opens it, he encounters the haunting jinn. At that moment, Imam Malik emerges behind him, prompting Adam to recite prayers with his hand on his head. Adam calls Aslan, but as Aslan attempts to enter, the door closes. Now alone, Adam tries to fight the jinn, and a python emerges from a room, but Adam's continued prayers make the python retreat. Adam then successfully expels the jinn from Imam Malik, but tragically, Imam Malik dies in the process. Just as Adam feels that the problem is solved, he hears some strange sound from behind him and gets startled seeing possessed Sakina licking her father's blood. Adam quickly starts chanting prayers that enrage the jinn, and Adam ends up falling. The jinn declares his intention to break non-believers and hypocrites, making them fight each other. Claiming to be the strongest among all jinn, he pounds the floor, causing it to break, and as Adam gets up, the jinn flees. Adam comes out and informs others that Sakina has escaped, and just then they discover her crawling on the wall. She then jumps from there and begins climbing a tree, and when the three of them follow her, she warns them about the emergence of Dajjal, and that Dajjal will incite people against their religion for 40 days. Adam asserts that as long as humans believe in God, Judgment Day will be averted, and the trio begins chanting prayers together. This prompts possessed Sakina to descend to the ground, and the jinn declares that he will not die until Judgment Day. Adam takes out some leaves from his pocket and commands the jinn to leave her body, and shortly after, Sakina's back starts turning backward as she curses them for deviation and disbelief. Adam persists in his prayers, and the jinn insists he will not be defeated. However, Adam ultimately succeeds in expelling the jinn from her body. They then return to Sakina's home, where Adam reveals to her that her father has died long ago, and there was a demon sent to live in his body. Sakina acknowledges that Abuja is responsible and expresses her determination to avenge her father's death. However, Aslan advises her to think before acting, reminding her that they are people of faith. Sakina expresses that this ordeal has truly tested her faith and questions where God is when she needs him. Adam advises her to seek forgiveness, explaining that not everything allowed by God pleases him. Now while they are leaving there, Abuja comes there with his followers and they surround them. Abuja comments on Adam stating that he looks like a simple guy, and he tries to insult him in front of his followers. He then tells him that whatever happens here is none of his business and he doesn't want him coming here. Adam chooses not to argue with him and decides to silently leave from there, and Abuja says he will make sure he regrets his whole life. Later, we see Sakina praying in her house when suddenly she gets a shock and finds that the rosary from her hand is gone. She looks around and sees it lying near her father's lifeless body, and as she goes to retrieve it, the body unexpectedly moves, frightening her, and she rushes out of the room. She tries to calm herself down by chanting prayers, and when she returns to the room, she gets startled seeing that the body is missing, and then suddenly a man's ghost haunts her. On their way back, Azure wonders how Abuja knew that Adam was coming to the village, as he had kept it a secret. Just then, Asma notices Adam coughing continuously and asks him if he is okay. Adam replies that he is never like this and doesn't know why his body feels so hot all of a sudden. Adam asks Asman if he doesn't feel it, but he is startled to see that both Asman and Azure have disappeared. The Jinn then reveals that the previous night, he visited Adam's place, and today, he came to his place. Adam expresses that he never saw him and instructs him not to keep intruding into his thoughts and his life. The Jinn asserts that Adam always helps people, but in reality, he is the one who needs help. The Jinn claims that he can assist Adam because, without his knowledge, he is a hypocrite. Adam then hears Asman and Azure calling him for help, and when he goes to that side, the Jinn suddenly attacks him. However, we see Adam at his home, screaming, with Asman and Adam's father trying to calm him down. Adam gets up, and Asman informs him that he fainted yesterday in Azure's boat, and they brought him back home. Adam asks about Sakina and her father's body, to which Renim tells him that Azure took care of everything, and Imam's body is safely buried.